Okay, so good morning, guys. Thanks all for taking your time on a Sunday morning, and very warm welcome to our webinar, different job roles in data science and which one is for you. So this side, so this is Sabrish, and I've been with AnalytixLabs since 2017. And I take care of admissions and counseling here, and will be your host for today's session. Now, data science has become increasingly important, guys, right? In today's world, as we are collecting, generating more and more data than ever before. So you take from your social media posts to all the financial transactions, every point there is data that is being collected at an extraordinary rate, and it's up to the data scientists, analysts to make sense of it all. Now, data science can transform any businesses, organizations, and even entire industries by providing valuable insights and enabling decision making more efficient. Now, with this explosion of data in recent years, I'm sure you'll agree that data science has become more important than ever, and so has the career opportunities in this wonderful field. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced professional, trust me, this webinar will provide valuable insights and information. So sit back, relax, and let's quickly dive into the world of data science together. Great. So before we start, some ground rules. Request you to kindly attend the entire webinar because most frequently asked questions will be answered. That is the whole purpose of it. So requesting you to be patient so that to see if your questions are answered during the course of this webinar. And kindly stay till the end because we've got a lot of things lined up. And if you have any questions, do post in our Q&A option, and the speaker would take it up as on when it's recommended. Okay, so having said that, without further delay, let me introduce our speaker today. So I would like to welcome Mr. Sumit Bansal, co-founder, CEO of AnalytixLabs and alabs.ai. He's having more than 15 years experience in this field of data science and analytics. Prior to AnalytixLabs, he was with companies like McKinsey, ZS Associates, etc. Thanks, Sumit. Over to you then.
Thank you, Sabrish, and thank you and good morning to all the participants, especially folks joining from North India in this cold winter morning. So quickly, as Sabrish mentioned, I am Sumit. He has already given my introduction. Very briefly, I'll also touch upon rest of the team. Some of the team members are supporting the webinar anyway today. So apart from me, we have two more co-founders, Ankita Gupta and Chandra. In totality, all three of us bring a lot of industry experience in last 17, 18 years. Different team members do take care of different responsibilities, lead the different responsibilities, I would put. So for example, Ankita helps with student success, training, operations, and placements. Chandra is primarily responsible for content, training, delivery, certification, and placements. Apart from three of us, there are teams which help us to help you guys achieve your career goals. So career counseling and admissions, Sabrish leads that. He has already spoken with you guys just now. We have admin and operations team. We have training and student support. So post enrollment while your journey with AnalytixLabs. So these two teams are quite instrumental throughout the journey. And of course, certification and placement, which is last and very key objective throughout the student journey at AnalytixLabs. So there is a dedicated team for that as well. So overall, highly motivated team driven. We are passionate about your overall success and also data science as the impact which it brings in the industry. So very quickly, I'll also walk through the outline of this webinar. As we understand, the key topic is going to be different type of data science job roles. However, to understand this thing well, we also need to understand a few foundation things. One is why data science? What are the different stages and types of analytics or data science? Because data science and analytics interchangeably used, then they are very umbrella terms. So it is good that we also understand that within data science or within analytics, there are different types and stages. This is very important, one, to understand the industry landscape, two, even understand the job roles. Three, who is a data scientist? Like primarily, what does a data scientist do? Then when we talk about data science career option, everyone hears about this term data scientist. But trust me, there are job roles more or equal in demand as data scientist, which is the key objective. But before we can understand that, we also need to understand how data science works at an enterprise level. When I say enterprise, it could be any large organization or mid-size organization. These days, to an extent, even small organizations are leveraging all this. So if you're talking about a bank, or if you're talking about a large e-commerce company like Amazon, or if you're talking about a cab companies like Uber, Blue Smart, Ola, etc., or even for that matter, let's say when we talk about a small 1 or 2 years old e-commerce company, there also this concept is important to understand, because when we will be able to understand this, we'll be able to understand the next part in much more detail. And based on different type of job roles, what are the different diploma and certification courses aspirants can target to meet their career objectives. Having said that, it's not very strict that we'll only stick to these topics. We will be very happy and looking forward to answer all your questions. So let's say if there is a question which is aligned to the topic we are discussing at that stage, I'll be very happy to take it at that stage itself. Sometimes we may park your questions and take them towards the end of the session so that the flow and others' interest is not interrupted. Right. Okay. Moving on. So very quickly, before even I talk about what is data science, very quickly, I'll talk about why data science is so popular, or why as a career option, so many aspirants are now leaning towards this career option. So first thing is, it is in very high demand. If we talk about any of the leading job portals, for example, Monster is a global job portal. Similarly, in India, we have Naukri and LinkedIn, again, another global job portal. You would see roles related to analytics and data science were the highest in terms of number of job roles on these portals. If we talk about the estimate of NASSCOM, which is India's esteemed body of technology and consulting companies, it estimated within India itself shortage of 16 lakh digital candidates, digitally qualified candidates, which primarily is analytics or data related jobs. If we talk about the median salary, so we are not talking about lower salary or higher salary, we are talking about, let's say, median, or you can think of it in simpler terms, that average salary, starting salary, when a fresher begins, it's 4.7 lakhs, which is higher than any average fresher or let's say starting salary in any other field. This includes both graduates and postgraduates. Needless to say, if we just look at the data for postgraduates, the number would be higher. So one thing is very well established, that it is in very high demand. Now, there can be many other job roles or career options which at the moment are high demand. But sometimes you start your career in those fields. However, after 1 or 2 years, you get stagnated because it does not offer long-term growth. So that is where data science becomes even more interesting. When we look at the growth aspect, there also it does not lose its shine. On average, the data analytics jobs, people in data analytics jobs, they command 30% salary premium. And this is as per Analytics India magazine salary study. If we talk about the salary growth in, let's say, in about 6 years, there is 10x growth. So on average, let's say if a professional started with the 4 lakhs package and has been progressing, regularly upgrading skills, doing well in the job, in 6 years on average, let's say 4 lakhs salary becomes 40 lakhs. 5 lakhs is likely to be 50 lakhs. So this is, of course, average numbers across the board. But I can very well vouch for this fact, having started my career in analytics in 2007. In this 16 years journey, I can really very well vouch for this fact. Of course, the growth was not same in the initial years when I talk about 5 years from 2007. But if I talk about the current trend, how salaries have grown in last 5-6 years, this is something which is very well established. So for a tenured analytics professional, you can comfortably earn between 50 lakhs to 75 lakhs per annum. In fact, not just in recent years, even in past, if we talk about 2016-17, we had students, of course, those were tenured students who bagged a salary package of up to 60 lakh rupees also. I'm talking about data which is 5-6 years old now. Of course, if I talk about tenured students now, it would be even higher if I talk about the highest number. But our objective is not just to throw the highest number, but the most often followed trends which we see in the industry. The other aspect which is important here is the job roles, the job profile is also very exciting. So it's not a job role or a career option where you opt just for high growth and salary, but in terms of how you learn things, in terms of how you work on different problems in different industries, that's also very exciting. So the work you do is very satisfying. You continuously learn about different type of businesses, different type of business problems. The job role is also techno-functional in nature. That means it's not something which is purely technical, not it is something which is purely functional. It sits in between your business and technology, making it very suitable, even if the candidates are from IT or non-IT background. So this is another aspect I'll be touching upon when I talk about different type of job roles for different kind of profile. So we'll come back to this part specifically. But in short, high demand, high growth over the years, and exciting work profile where you are learning about different type of businesses, different type of problems, and the work you do has very high impact. So I'll share an example. Very often we talk about examples from e-commerce, we talk about Tesla, AI, etc. Let me share one simple example from an area which is not very glamorous. So let's talk about medical insurance. So typically, when any person has a medical insurance and God forbids they need to apply for insurance in an emergency, there is certain process in hospital they have to follow, right? If it's a non-emergency situation, when they follow a process for the information to be processed, their claims or their surgery or their treatment to be approved, it can take 3 days. Even if we talk about, let's say, an emergency situation, before the money can be dispersed or the things can get into action on the administrative side, it takes some time. Let's say an insurance company uses analytics and data science to fasten up this process. Typically, this process is called TPA. This process, if any insurance company is trying to improve using analytics, data science, AI methods, and probably many companies have already adopted, because this problem came to us actually about 3 years back. So I'm sure by now, many companies would have started adopting data science based projects. This can be much more automated. Information can be fetched automatically, or once the information is fed into the system using AI based data science engines, the insurance claims, processes, treatment, surgeries can be approved using AI assisted methods in very, very short span of time. So imagine if a team, a data science team has solved this problem, the amount of social impact it has in making life easier for thousands or hundreds of thousands of patients and customers. So similarly, the scale of problem you solve in data science is actually going to have very high impact and generally very satisfying for the people involved. Of course, when I say satisfying, for me, the work which we do, if it has a social impact, if it helps someone to improve their life or reduce the difficulties, that is satisfying. I'm sure with many people, it would be like that. But in short, the point which I want to make is the impact of the work which you do in analytics or data science is typically very high. Okay, so we do not have any questions on this particular thing. I'll move on. There are a couple of questions. We'll take them up later on. Now, in simple terms, what is data science? So there are 3 parts in which I break down this definition or this statement. And as the slide mentions, I want to stick to simpler terms only. You may go to our blog for a much more detailed deep dive on this subject. But what essentially we are talking about is to gain insights into data. And to gain these insights, we use combination of methods, sometimes computation methods, sometimes statistics, basic statistics, data visualization techniques, right? And essentially to drive smart decisions. So this part is very, very important. Many times businesses, early or let's say less tenured professionals, they get carried away with all the fancy technology, techniques, methods in data science and AI. But we must remember everything we are going to do should have a business value. Or something I mentioned in the last slide, what is the impact? How does it help businesses and eventually the customers or whatever is the organization we are working for? So in short, we use statistical visualization methods to gain insights into data. And typical process which we follow here involves few more stages. As you go through the course, you will be actually deep diving into each of these stages. But in short, these stages are about obtaining the data from relevant sources. The world we live in, there are actually variety of sources from which the data can come in. Social media, apps, chat bots, physical branches, point of sales, WhatsApp chat bots. So we'll talk about all this in later section, but in short, obtaining the data which is relevant to our problem. Most of the time, the data we deal with may not be in a shape that machines can understand, or let's say your softwares like Python, Tableau, Power BI, SQL can understand. So we might have to do data cleaning. More often than not, we have to do this is typically called data scrubbing. Then we also need to understand, as the term says, explore. This stage is also called exploratory data analysis, that what is there in the data. So even before you can apply advanced analytics methods, you need to understand from logical point of view, from business point of view, that what are the kind of patterns you have in the data, what are the kind of trends that data is showing. So this stage is very popularly known as exploratory data analysis, EDA. Again, I am sharing some high level information at this stage, but we have again given a reference to a blog where all these things are discussed in more detail. Once data has been obtained, we have cleaned that data, we have understood what is there in the data, both from statistical and business point of view. Then we may move to the advanced techniques, like commonly referred as modeling. It could be machine learning model, it could be a basic statistical model, it could be an advanced statistical model. So using these models, we typically try to predict the results or forecast the results for future for businesses to act accordingly. Once the model is there, we interpret the results and implement them from business point of view. So this is something which many businesses fail at. They are able to do good quality of analytics, but when it comes to implementing the results, right? In short, putting the results into good use, that is one thing which differentiates between a massively successful organization like Amazon versus an organization which is good at this part but is not able to implement those results at the ground level. That's why I said the impact part is very, very important. So in short, when we talk about data science, it follows a process. There is no magic wand. And using that process, we desire the required results and the impact which we want in the improvement of business. A quick pause if anyone has questions on this particular step when we talk about the process or different steps in data science. Okay, moving on. In case any question comes to your mind, even if we move to another topic as suggested in the Q&A window, please drop your questions. We'll take them up whenever it is most appropriate during the session. Let's now understand different stages of analytics. This discussion I'm going to break into two parts. One, stages, and then we deep dive and extend what we here learn as 3 stages to 5 types, because how you build the skills, what kind of job profiles you pick, whatever is more relevant, all that is actually connected to this. So the first stage of analytics is typically called descriptive analytics. It helps us to understand what has happened in the business in past. So there can be many type of questions which we want to answer using this type of analysis. Questions can be very simple, like how satisfied are my customers? How is the business performing in last 1 year? Where is the company losing the revenue, right? Or the questions can be actually multi-layered also. For example, uh, Amazon may want to know that how many laptops they have sold in last 1 year in different type of cities, metro cities, tier 1 cities, tier 2, 3, 8, 4. So the complexity of the question may vary from simple to very complex. But in short, these questions help us to understand what has happened in the past. The kind of tool which we use here are relatively simple Excel, SQL based platforms, data visualization tools like Power BI, Tableau, etc. We mostly do not need statistical analysis here. We mostly focus on reporting analytics here, dashboarding. It is also known as business intelligence as one of the popular terms. Once we understand what has happened, it is of immense value for business to understand what could happen next. So let's say, sticking to the same question, where Amazon wanted to understand how many laptops they sold in last 1 year. Now they want to predict how many laptops will they sell next year. Because it is important for them to know, should they increase the supplying capacity? Should they invest more into it? Should they reduce it? Maybe last 2 years, because of COVID, work from home, the laptop consumption was high. Maybe the consumption may or may not be same in next year. So all those kind of questions are important to understand. Another example I'll take here is when we call a call center for any help, let's say a bank, credit card, insurance, anything, right? It is very simple for us to expect help and someone should answer our query without much waiting. But from business point of view, it is important to know how many calls can they expect on day-to-day basis if they have enough staff to answer those calls. Let's say a bank is expanding, opening new branches in new regions. They should also be planning that, do we have enough customer support when we add new customers to answer their queries? So it becomes important for any organization in different ways to understand what is likely to happen next. In this stage of analytics, we start using statistical methods, sometimes machine learning methods, and tools like Python and R become more important, because the other tools which we just mentioned in the previous stage may not be sufficient. They may not have capabilities to do statistical or predictive analytics. Hence, tools become Python, R, etc. They become the mainstay for this stage of analytics. The third stage is where my analytics engines get enough sophistication to even tell us what should we do. Let's say a bank wants to offer discount to some customers, right? It could be a bank, it could be a cab booking company. So you might have noticed sometimes you get discounts, promotion coupons from Ola, Uber, or any of the cab companies. And your friend may or may not have got it, or your friend may have got a different kind of coupon or different value of coupon. So what is happening there? Based on customers' behavior, based on expected profit from the customer in future, analytics is suggesting what should a business do. When we say what should, it could be how much discount they should offer, right? Sometimes it could be even if they should offer any discount or not. So in this case, analytics engines are helping us to optimize the best possible outcome. In a way, we all are actually exposed to this type of analytics day in, day out. Can anyone guess what I'm referring to? So when you go to social media, when you surf internet, actually you guys are exposed to this type of analytics every day. Anyone can guess what I'm referring to? So when we talk about YouTube and the suggestions you get, that what kind of videos you may like, what kind of songs you may like on, let's say, Spotify or any music streaming platform. When you go to Netflix, typically it has a recommendation in terms of percentage that this is the likelihood you will like a program. And typically Netflix recommendations are gold standard in industry, that they are very accurate. So in short, when YouTube is suggesting you anything, Netflix is suggesting you anything, even for that matter, when Google Map is suggesting you a route, it is a form of prescriptive analytics, which is suggesting that what should be the optimum thing to do, which route is the optimum, or what are the kind of things you may like to buy, or even for that matter, when Facebook or Instagram is showing you the feed, based on your behavior, it is predicting that what are the kind of things you are likely to like and what should that platform show as a content. So day in, day out, we are actually exposed to all this kind of analytics, especially this form of analytics all large companies or tech forward companies are using. Any questions on this? What I'm going to do in next slide, descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive, we have understood. I'm going to introduce two more stages. One is something which is in between descriptive and predictive. So when we talk about what has happened in past, what can happen in future, sometimes we also need to understand why it happened. Let's say a coffee chain realized that their revenue has dropped in few cities. So if they want to diagnose the cause of it, that will come from this stage of analytics, which is called diagnostics. So here we are examining the cause of past result. So descriptive gave us the past result. Here we are examining the cause of past result. Here, sometimes we start using basic statistics, and that could be of help while we are answering the questions related to why and statistically being confident about it. The next stage after prescriptive is cognitive. Till here, we saw the machines became intelligent enough to identify the best course of action. But in next stage, we can have AI-enabled actions, artificial intelligence-enabled actions, where machines can learn automatically and also take the decisions on their own. These could be some complex problems. These could be some simple problems. For example, when we are using smart assistant, voice assistants like Alexa, Siri, Google chatbots, or these days, even if anyone has tried, let's say you have a credit card, you want to make certain changes on that credit card, that how much spending should be allowed, online transactions, offline transactions, international, domestic. These days, most of the good banks have WhatsApp-based chatbots which can automatically help you to make those changes. If we talk about some of the best examples, self-driving cars. These days, of course, a lot of high-end cars have this facility. In India, we do not see them so much. But Tesla is, of course, the prime example when we talk about self-driving cars. Even in India now, thankfully, domestic manufacturers, let's say Mahindra, they are bringing autonomous capabilities where cars can automatically correct the lane if the car is going outside the lane. So in short, machines are learning and taking the decision automatically based on the past behavior and the inputs. That's about these stages of analytics and the types of analytics. Why it is important to know? Because for any organization, when they start their journey, they must start from basic to advanced, because you cannot do advanced form of analytics without having the basics in place. What does this imply? Even for people like us, when you are building your career, when you're learning, you will have this kind of journey. Your value add will start like this. Even when you are learning, let's say Python, you will first learn how do you do descriptive analytics, diagnostic, predictive, and then people opting for advanced courses will move to the AI-based approaches. So whether it is about a professional or aspirant like you who is starting to learn and build a career in data science, or whether it is about your job progress when you start the job, or whether it is about any organization which is building or investing into data science capabilities, typically this is how the journey looks like, starting from basic to advanced. And needless to say, as we move to more advanced, the value add also is higher. The value add is also going to be much higher. Now, there are few questions which we might want to answer. One is a simple question from Ishan, which is scrubbing means finding the outliers in the data rhythm. Ishan, yes, outliers is one of the things, but yes, to simply answer your question, yes, when we talk about data scrubbing, data cleaning, we want to take care of the outliers or any kind of errors like missing value, etc. It's a very important step. Trust me, when you start your career, a lot of time is spent on this. And even in interviews, a lot of testing may happen on this kind of skill, that how well you can handle the data and clean the data for the analysis. Then there is another question from Mahindra Singh. How much statistics is important? Mahindra, good question. We will be answering this later also, but let me answer this now also. Statistics is important. However, even if there are people who have not studied statistics in past, they can learn the amount of statistics we need at this stage. Of course, if you have interest, you can do more deep dive, but think of this way. You don't need to learn the theorems and all the back-end principles or the manual handwritten calculations of statistics. All you need to know is that how do you interpret certain kind of statistics from which is used in analytics? How do they help? And in what situation we should use what? So in short, when you are learning statistics from analytics point of view, we are focusing on application, that what to use where. Of course, some basic principles we do cover. We assume that you do not know any statistics at all. And how do you interpret the results based on the statistical interpretation? Okay, there are other questions which is going to be part of the webinar itself. So please excuse me, I'm not taking them up right now, but definitely we'll be answering it towards the later sections. Okay. Now the next part is in a way related to the question we just said about statistics. So who is a data scientist? So data scientist, there are multiple definitions. Here also I'll share a detailed blog with you guys where you can read more about it. But my most famous, or my most, you can say, favorite definitions are these two. One from Josh Blumenstock. He says the data scientist is someone who knows more statistics than a computer scientist, right? What does it imply? You need to know some statistics and more computer science than a statistician. And you need to know some programming, but not a lot of it. So again, who knows more statistics than a computer scientist and more computer science than a statistician. So this is a very popular question, that how much do we need programming? Do we need statistics? The answer to both is yes, we need it, but you do not need programming like a software developer or software programmer. You need basic programming, right? Just to analyze the data. You should know what commands we need to, let's say, do some basic steps, to import the data, to see the data, to filter the data, right? And even from statistics point of view, unlike a statistician, you are not going to get into theorems and all those details, as I just mentioned a few minutes back. It is more about focusing on what is something we need to apply to see the results on the data and how do we interpret it. So most of the time, people who have never worked on statistics before, who have never done programming before, if they are going through the course appropriately, they are able to do fairly well. And in fact, we have cases, students even coming from arts background, many times commerce background, doing good in these courses. Needless to say, you will have to put some effort. There was another question, how much time we need to put. So think of this way, if you're opting for a part-time course where you have weekly training of 6 hours on weekends, you would need another 8 to 10 hours of average self-study per week. So for 6 hours of classes, about 8 to 10 hours of self-study. Sometimes this might go much lesser, sometimes it might go slightly higher, but on average 8 to 10 hours of self-study per week. Of course, if you're opting for, let's say, full-time course, diploma courses and all that, then you are signing up for a full-time learning, like a college program, then the duration of learning which you need to give is going to be higher. But that is course to course basis. We'll talk about at some later stage. Another dimension to describe a role of data scientist is, a data scientist is expected to know statistics. He's a statistician, a programmer, a coach, because as you grow in the role, you also need to guide your team members, work with different team members, learn from them, teach them different things. Then a storyteller. This is also very important. Let's say you have analyzed the data, you have got some insights. Now, can you explain that to a non-technical person? Let's say there is a business manager, you have a client who is a non-technical person. Can you tell a simple story which to a business person who may or may not be technical? So in fact, next webinar for one of the India's large private banks, I'm doing a webinar on storytelling with data. So these guys are all working in data science. They are analytics people, but still this is a skill. Even these guys need to refresh or need to, let's say, improve, where they can use data to do better storytelling. So in short, storytelling is nothing but that using their data analysis and the insights you have got, can you explain the outcome to a non-technical person? Then it also says data scientist is also an artist. Why we say so? Because data science, we many times mention, is not a pure science. It's also an art. Let's say based on the data science decisions, if you have to build some business decisions, business models, it cannot be pure number game. Many times you will have to use the business sense, many times you will have to use the logics or intuitive sense that whether what my model or my numbers or my data is telling, does it make sense? Now, this part and this part and the coaching part, this may not be applicable in the beginning stage. To an extent, this may be needed, but at least the coaching and when I say the business sense, which we say is a kind of combination of science and art, you may not be expected in the beginning role. But let's say you are working in data science for some years now, you have gained a position like a manager, you have worked in particular domain like pharma, banking, retail for some years, then it will be expected that you understand that business domain and can take the decisions or help business people to take the decisions more holistically rather than just relying upon the numbers or the machine learning models. So I hope you get some clarity that the role in analytics is never about going to be all technology or all technique or all numbers. More often than not, it is more than one skill which you need. I'm going to explain this more in coming sections. Okay. Now moving to the next slide. I'm going to explain this. Then I'm also going to keep this slide on the screen and we may stop for a short 5 minutes quick break. But please go through this slide at your end and feel free to ask as many questions as you want on this, because if you understand this, you have understood the complete data science landscape, which is very relevant to deciding the career tracks. Or let's say you have done the course, you have got the job offers, then deciding whether this is the right job for you or you need a different type of profile. Is this profile suitable or not suitable for you? So right from the beginning, having this level of understanding is going to go a long way. When I talk about data science architecture at an enterprise level, as I said, this could be any kind of organization. It could be a pharma company, it could be a banking company, it could be a hotel chain, hospital chain, airline, anything. Everything starts with the data. So we have different kind of sources from which the data may come in. These days you have smart devices like smartphones, smart watches. Data may, if it's an energy company, even if they have, let's say, wind farms, solar farms, these sensors which are providing you data. Recently, we came across a project where it was for a French company. They have wind farms and solar farms, and based on the sensors collecting the data through these wind farms, we have to develop an analytic solution for them. Then there could be some conventional data sources, let's say ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, which SAP, Oracle, IBM, many of these companies provide. CRM systems, customer relationship management systems. Data may come in different forms. Data may come in Excel files, CSV files, XML files. There could be some apps which are also generating data, right? There could be web-based application. Let's say for a bank, when you do net banking, that is also a very important source of data. When you do mobile banking, that is also an important source of data. If it's a media company, gaming company, let's say if it's a company which is dealing with young generation, then what is that generation talking about on social media, right? What are they posting? What are they listening to? What are they tweeting? All that is very important for the organization to understand that if there are any features they are liking, not liking, if there are any features which our product has, but no one is even talking about it. And this could be a great feature to gain edge from the competition. So needless to say, in current times, the landscape for any organization in terms of data sources is very sophisticated, very complex. Every day they deal with terabytes or petabytes of data. Now, it is important that any organization which wants to do analysis, so before we even talk about data science or analytics, they need an engineering layer. And what is the role of this engineering layer? To capture all this variety of data. They can ingest this data and store this data. Now, storage can be on cloud, on premises. Mostly these days it is on cloud. So you can imagine there is a real-time data coming in. We want to integrate it. The data may not be clean. The data may be in different format. So capturing the data, ingesting the data, storing it on cloud, and processing the data such that it can be loaded into analytic systems. So in short, before your data can be analyzed, you have to capture that data, store that data, process that data, that it is in a shape that the data can be consumed. It can be consumed by analytics teams. It might be consumed by, let's say, artificial intelligence engineering teams. It might need to be consumed by your app development teams, right? Even sometimes your audit teams. So in short, the role which data engineering, a modern data engineering which plays these days, is very, very important. Many analytics courses, data sciences courses, they miss this part. In fact, if we talk about in year 2021 and 22, we have seen more shortage for data engineers than data science, because few people opt for data engineering, but the demand is very, very high. Having said that, let's move to the next part. Once the data is ready, then data science teams, it could be for descriptive analysis, which we just talked about, right? It could be simple reporting, data visualization, or it could be advanced data science using machine learning and AI based, that we have to build some apps out of it. Let's say a cab booking app, right? Or an app which can do algorithm trading in stock market. Anything it could be, from basic analysis to advanced analysis. Then your data science teams will be consuming that data. So end to end, from data capture to data analysis, there is a full value chain, and hence the job roles we will talk about in some time it totally depends on this value chain. Hence, it was important to understand what do we have here, right? So that you can understand the different job roles more meaningfully, rather than just understanding the names of those job roles. Now, I'll take a pause here, right? We will stop for a break, and more importantly, just look at this. If you have any confusions, any questions, leave it in the Q&A. Post the break, first we'll take up any questions which are relevant to this topic, or at this stage which are relevant, we'll take up those questions, and then move to the job roles and different profiles. Especially, we very often get multiple questions. I'm from technical background or non-technical background. I'm a fresher, or let's say 10 years of experience. So all those questions will get answered. You will get a lot more clarity now when we move to the next section post the break. Sabrish, anything you want to add here?
Yeah, thanks, Sunil. So we'll be launching a poll while you come back, so that request the participants to take that as well.
Sure. Guys, please answer the poll. That helps us to understand what is helpful for you, what do you want to know more, and accordingly decide the topic of the next set of webinars. Okay. So there are few questions, but not really related to this particular section. I'll move, but there are some questions I'll quickly refer to. So there is one question from Akash Bhalla on 6 hours learning in ML. Akash, that's not correct. The ML duration which we have is much more than 6 hours. I'll show you exactly when we move to the popular courses and sections. It is much more than 6 hours. It is not possible in 6 hours. Then say from Akash only, yes, we are providing placement support at very different levels in data science course. We'll talk about it again towards the end. There's a question from Priyanka. Do we need to have any technical degree or we can get job based on this course certificate? So Priyanka, you do not need any technical degree. There are people, many people every month coming from non-technical background based on this skill-based learning, get job in analytics. However, the kind of job role which a non-technical degree will begin with might be different from what a technical person will begin with. So, in fact, the next set of slides in the next section is going to help answer some of these questions. Now, a lot of questions which are still pending even on the screen are related to the technical or non-technical. So let's understand that data science by itself is a multidisciplinary field. You need business skills also. You need technology skills also. And you need analytic skills also. Now, when you are starting your career, either you may focus on this or you may focus on this at least. Of course, there are people who focus on both sides of the things. Accordingly, the job they will get, that is also going to be better. So let's take some different scenarios. The first scenario we take is someone who is coming from technical background and is a fresher. So for those kind of people, you might focus on roles which are engineering focused, let's say data engineering, data architect, ML ops. And here, the things you will be learning will be more engineering inclined. Let's say data engineering, one thing I mentioned about, or ML ops is also known as ML engineering or AI engineering, where your primary job is to have either the data ready for consumption right from the capturing stage, what I just discussed about for these two job roles, or once the machine learning models are built, how do businesses use them in their day-to-day business, whether embedding them on their website or having an app which is machine learning based supported, or any product which is machine learning based. If we have someone who is coming from non-technical background and a fresher, what they can do is they can primarily focus on this, but of course, with some basic understanding of this will be an advantage, not mandatory, but an advantage. So you may focus on skills like data mining and visualization. Sorry, 1 second, guys. So you may focus on skills like data mining, data visualization, statistical analysis and predictive modeling, right? Machine learning, basic to intermediate level. You may not in the beginning go into very advanced level. But in short, the idea is with these skills, you will be starting your job either as data analyst, business analyst, data science. Because even when people or organizations are hiring for data analysts, they would prefer a candidate who understands machine learning versus someone who is pure data analyst, because eventually the responsibilities do diverge and eventually converge also at some stage. So they prefer investing into candidate who already has some ML understanding or exposure. But in short, if you are, let's say, coming from arts background, right? You are not confident about machine learning yet, you may focus on only on these two skills, because at least this much would be needed to start your career as a business analyst or as a data analyst. Needless to say, if anyone who is targeting data scientist job role, then some exposure to this is going to be desired. In fact, in 2021, in our data science course, we have added a basic fundamental module of ML Ops also. Of course, it's not a deep dive module, there is a separate course for it, but a basic fundamental module. On similar lines, when we have someone with, let's say, 5 years of industry experience, 10, 15 years of industry experience, then this is something which is indispensable. Why? Because as we discussed in the initial section, no matter how much analysis you do or how fancy is your analytics methodology, if you cannot implement in the business, if you cannot drive that change in the business or improvement, it is of no use. So even when for freshers, when they grow in the analytics or data science industry, they are expected to develop some domain understanding. Or even, let's say, someone who is already coming from business, the value add they bring is this along with the analytics skills. So let's say someone is coming from non-technical, 5-10 years of experience, then essentially what you're targeting is this kind of expertise for analytics consultant roles, analytics manager roles, account director level roles. So in short, if you are experienced or a fresher, technical or a non-technical background, it is going to be important that you choose wisely what track to follow. Is this going to be your strength, or this going to be your strength, or this combined with this is going to be your strength? And trust me, after some years, all three are important. Needless to say, an analytics leader may not be hands-on dealing with data engineering, but for them, it is important that understand that what happens in data engineering. Last year, we ran almost a 4-5 months long program for one of the very large analytics service providers in US and India for their leadership. Data engineering for leaders, data engineering for managers, those kind of programs, because even they need to understand some bit of it. But when you're starting your career, based on your profile and education background, you may deprioritize one and focus more on the other. So when we get people with very high years of experience, right? So our suggestion to them is, let's say you have 10 years of banking experience. Now, how banking works? What are the kind of problems? After understanding how analytics works, how do you use analytics to solve those problems and effectively implement and drive business value? It becomes important. Vice versa, someone who, let's say, start as a data analyst or data scientist in a retail company, after 3, 4, 5 years, it is expected that in addition to the technical skills or analytic skills, that person now has developed an understanding that how retail industry operates, what are some of the benefits of doing different kind of things in retail from analytics point of view, what works, what doesn't work, what kind of data should be captured, how it should be captured. So all those things over the years you are expected to know and solve those problems. So this is a misconception that only IT people or only fresher or only work experience people are required in the industry. Depending on your profile, experience, there are a variety of job roles which are available. In fact, one of the questions which is still on the Q&A section, I have not answered yet. Let me take this up now. One second. So there was a question. So one for us from Nayana. Can we become data scientist at starting stage? Yes. Let's say a candidate who is coming from BSc background, stats background, maths background, engineering background, right? Your target job role in the beginning is going to be data scientist based job role only. And most of the times, these candidates do start as data scientist. Sometimes it could be a designation like associate data scientist or junior data scientist. And accordingly, if you have any experience, even if non-data science experience, your seniority will matter accordingly. Okay. Any other questions you want me to answer right when we are on the screen? Because gradually we are moving towards the job roles only. This is the overall skills and expertise which is needed. Next, what we are going to look at is about the job roles in data science. Okay. So now combining all this together, of course, there can be more type of job roles. Sometimes some companies may use a different designation. For example, in analytics, the job role of data analyst is also referred as business analyst. But please remember, the business analyst in IT or software company is different. In analytics company, it is different. So often, the term which you may come across in analytics, business analyst or data analyst, might be interchangeably used. But yeah, coming back to the four most important job roles I'm talking about, one is data engineering, data analyst, data scientist, and AI engineer, ML engineer, AI specialist. So other different set of designations are changed. First, very quickly, let's see what one person is responsible for. As we have seen before the break, data engineering team or data engineer is going to be responsible for extracting the data from different sources, transforming it so that it is usable, right, for various kind of consumptions within the organization, and loading it to various systems from which different teams, analytics teams, data science teams might access that data. So they are responsible setting up these data pipelines, processing the data, and OLAP. OLAP stands for online analytics processing. So basically, even a data engineer in a way is doing basic analytics processing on the raw data to make the data usable. Now, one thing which is happening is sometimes in an organization, you may have a designated team doing all of this. In a service company, consulting company, it is possible that some of the basic stuff is expected that a data analyst is also doing it. Of course, if it is a very complex environment, there is going to be a separate team and specialized people to do it. But let's say if it needs a simple ETL, right, which is just about extracting, transforming, and loading the data, even data analyst is going to be expected to do it. So there have been projects in my career where I played all three roles: data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist also. But let's talk about more about it in short while. Now, what happens when we move to the role of data analyst? This person is responsible for collecting the data. As I said, she or he may also need to extract the data munging, which is basically data manipulation, creating data visualization, data analytics reports, statistical analysis, basic predictive modeling, and storytelling using dashboards, basic presentations, etc. So in short, whenever we have a requirement where we need descriptive analytics or diagnostic analytics, right, or basic predictive analytics, data analyst / business analyst will come into picture. As I said, there will be situations where one person is expected to play both the roles. However, if it is a very, very complex environment, then there will be more specialized people to do this. Because, for example, I am not a qualified data engineer. I can't do data engineering thing, but some of the basic things in data engineering, which I need to extract the data to do the analytics or machine learning modeling, that I can do. The next is data scientist. So a data scientist and data analyst has a lot of overlap. In fact, during my first 2-3 years of career, this term data scientist was not even coined. This term came up in 2009 or 2010, etc. So data scientist will do all of this. Plus, the main difference is data scientist can also work on unstructured data. When I say unstructured data, I mean to say text data, let's say Twitter data, Facebook data, chatbot data, image processing based data, and will also know machine learning based methods and natural language processing methods. So even a data analyst might be doing basic machine learning sometimes, but data scientists would be expected to do machine learning, which let's say can also help them with the text analytics, unstructured data type of analysis. Many times people, even after doing data science course, initially will get a designation of data analyst. 30, 40, 50, 60% of their work would be like data scientist. Eventually, after 1 or 2 years, will get promoted as data scientist. The funny thing is, we have also seen cases, they get hired as data scientist. The designation will say data science, but for 1 year or so, or initially, they are only doing all the things which a data analyst will do, right? So we have to be careful when we are applying for jobs or when we are looking at the job designations, that don't make decision based on the what title says. Always go into the job roles and responsibilities. Trust me, there have been cases that title will say data analyst, but the quality of responsibilities are such that there are going to be a lot of learnings, and you will be working on machine learning even if your designation doesn't say data scientist in the initial couple of years. So in short, there is a lot of overlap between these two profiles. As I said, there is some overlap in data engineering and data analyst also sometimes. Even as a data scientist, you might have to do some basic data extraction, etc. But at least between these two, there is a lot of overlap. The key difference is the predictive modeling or machine learning a data scientist would do will have more advanced capabilities. Data scientists can also work on structured and unstructured data. Right? Any doubts, any questions on this? The next job role is AI engineer, ML engineer, AI specialist, etc. So this person will build advanced AI ML models, right? Or the models are going to be built by your data science teams, but this person is responsible to operationalize and deploy them at scale. So let's say a credit card company has built a data science prediction model to predict credit card defaulters. Now, how that model is going to be used in actual business, embedded into their website, embedded into their, let's say, CRM systems or their apps. So that is a responsibility which AI engineer will play. So these guys are generally very well versed with the work which data scientists do. It is possible they might be data scientists in past, right? Then they focus on deep learning based models on cloud infrastructure. So deep learning is a subset within machine learning, which is basically especially for the models which are going to do AI like tasks, image classification, image identification, face recognition, etc. And then translate these data science outputs to AI products or AI solutions at large scale. Needless to say, if you are a non-technical person, you should focus on this block. If you are, let's say, for some few cases, you may just want to initially focus on only data analyst. That is, our career counselors can help you with. For some of the people who are coming from IT background, technology background, you might want to focus on this or this side of the things. And trust me, the job roles are fungible. You may start with one type of responsibility, but over the years, based on your interest, based on your performance, move to the other. So no hard and fast rules. Because sometimes we also get candidates from IT background. They are, let's say, more interested in this role. Even if it's easy for them to make a career as a data engineer, they don't want to go with it. They want to go with this. So of course, when we are suggesting courses to you, when we are suggesting different learning tracks, career tracks to you, we take into account your profile, fresher or experience, education background, and also your interest. Sometimes we may have to suggest that irrespective of your interest, it might be better to take another route, and maybe you will be able to follow that interest in, let's say, another 1 or 2 years. So what are the different courses? If someone wants to only focus on data analyst role, which we feel is not ideal, we have based on our experience, there are few cases where this would be a good choice. Otherwise, with little more effort and time investment, data science 360 is a better choice because with data science 360, with little more investment of time, you are ready for more wider type of job roles. As I said, sometimes companies initially, when they're hiring for data analyst and there is a candidate who also understands machine learning, will prefer that candidate. And most importantly, if you are, let's say, a fresher, recent graduate, you have time to invest into learning. Best would be to focus on a diploma program we have. So we have a postgrad diploma program in data science, which focuses very, very tightly on data analyst, data scientist, business analyst job roles. And it also gives you an option to pick up an elective as on the data engineering or on the artificial intelligence side. So there are an option in that course as an elective, whether you want to pursue data engineering or AI. Why so? Because even when you are getting hired as data scientist, it is expected that you have an understanding of this, which of course in a short-term certification courses, we have a limited scope, right? Or focus on data engineering in spite of being a data scientist. But in a 1-year diploma program, we have a lot of scope to focus on these elective skills to enhance or maximize your job prospects. As I mentioned sometime back, also for last 2 years, we are actually getting a lot of requirement for data science professionals who also understand data engineering. Recently, with one of the organizations, recently, even the students have last week only got some offers, and some are still going through the interviews. I think it's going to get close in next 1 or 2 weeks, another 1 or 2 weeks. They have shared requirement for data analyst, data scientist role, but the number they have shared for data scientist who can understand data engineering is much higher. And as I said, not everyone can pursue this, but if your profile fits for it, you should definitely consider it, because the prospects of getting hired in today's time are much, much higher or easier with data engineering skills along with other skills. So I'll take a pause before we deep dive into some of these courses, and there are some pending questions related to these courses. Let me see in the Q&A if we have any more questions. So Ishan, one of the questions, I hope you get an idea the difference between data analytics, data engineering, and data science. If there is any follow-up question, you can please let me know. On the business analyst and data analyst, as I mentioned, yes, in strict terms, there is a difference. In IT industry, business analyst is someone who is expected to understand the business requirements, gather the requirements from the client, and work with the software development teams, developer teams to fulfill those requirements. So it's a different role. In analytics, the term business analyst and data analyst is interchangeably used in some organizations. So if we talk about analytics industry, it would refer to the same set of responsibilities, or with minor, very minor changes. But in IT, it is a different one. So, okay, there is a question from Naina. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. I'm so sorry about it. So you can very well pursue, I'm not sure if you have any experience or recent graduate, either you can pursue diploma course or data science 360. For example, if I talk about myself, I am also from non-IT background. I had my graduation in mechanical engineering, right? But having some aptitude, quant aptitude from engineering background, whether it's IT or non-IT, you can very well pursue data science. If you have a dedicated time looking for a long-term journey, I suggest you should consider diploma program in data science, 1-year diploma program. Otherwise, data science 360 course is going to be quite apt for you. Aradhana, I'll talk about it, but short answer is yes, it's in a blended mode. 2 classes in a week are online, 3 are available offline. Kamal, interestingly, the salary report which we analyzed this year, it's available on our website also, the recent one. The data engineering and data science salaries are pretty much similar. There was a time data science salaries used to be higher, but with the overlap, it has become high. Santhu has a question on job guarantee. Santhu, yes, we do. And trust me, most of the people, when they are investing into professional courses, they are doing for the job. So we have job guarantee, which is under 6 months job challenge. However, it comes with certain conditions that 1, your profile qualifies for it. 2, your performance during the course has to be the satisfactory level. When I say satisfactory level, it's not that we are expecting 100% on everything, but a recent thing which we know you can, if not first 2, at least 3, 4 interviews, you can clear. You can reach out to the respective counseling member who is in touch with you to share details about it. Aradhana, yes, there is an upcoming diploma batch coming in approximately in February. We'll be happy to share the details. So Sabrish will share it with you. Let me now do one thing. A lot of questions are on the course specific. So please hold on for another 2 minutes. I will jump into the courses. Let me look at some other questions which may be relevant to answer at this stage. So Kamlesh, very good question, and it could be actually helpful for other people also. I'll just say, so he's working in a technology-based company which also manufactures consumer durables. As part of after-sales department, he analyzes data in Excel and about 10 years of experience. So very often we get candidates in banking, automobile or manufacturing or in similar kind of things where they are part of quality control, vendor management, okay, after sales, sales and planning, and have some exposure to data, either to create some weekly, monthly management reports, etc. So in these cases, it is very much apt that you show your experience where analytics has been used as part of your function. Now with more interest, you are upskilling and learning advanced analytics, right? Only thing is you cannot expect that you will start as a fresher or an individual data scientist or data analyst. Your primary area or domain may still remain, let's say, sales planning, after sales, vendor quality management. But even in all these functions these days, you have a lot of candidates, a lot of job openings, which needs analytics skills, basic to advanced. Okay. I'll be happy to have a more detailed discussion with you one-to-one, right? Or my team member will share more details on this, but a simple answer is yes. And we do get candidates for last several years with this kind of data exposure, and now they want to expand and go deep dive. Samir requesting Sabrish to help you with it. But see, by and large, when we are picking a faculty for any location, there are certain standards we also want to stick to. One, experience of the faculty, exposure of the faculty, and they are following the same pedagogy or methodology which we have set. So every week, there is a central call which happens with the training leadership and different trainers to ensure that there is a standardization process when they are training. And needless to say, their prior experience, exposure, understanding, delivery has been already evaluated when they have been selected as faculty, irrespective of the location. But you can still ask more specific question on one-to-one basis, depending on which batch or course you are considering. Okay. There is a question, is data scientist course covered data analytics course? Yes, it covers. I'll be explaining it. So data analytics course, or it is a subset of data science, so it is covered. Akash, yes, linear algebra and statistics are required. They are covered. I'm happy to see some of these very deep dive questions, but not sure how you missed it. So let me do one thing. Let me now jump into the course-wise details, and then we can come back to the individual questions, because now most of questions are around the courses. The first one I'm talking about is our PG program. So first thing is, most of the times in industry or with other service providers, you will see it will be PG certificate. What we are offering is not a certificate, it is a diploma. What is the difference? Certificate needs 50% of the duration than diploma. So anyone can easily offer a certificate course, but diploma is something which needs a lot of rigor and a much more detailed. PG program which we have is not something which is just to add a master's on your CV. It is designed for some real world value add so that you get hired. So it is very extensive, covering lot of real world problem solving skills, technical skills which you need in the current job market, right? So highly focused on the job. It is ECS accredited diploma. So the diploma we are offering is not Indian accredited, but accredited to European credit transfer systems, where many of the popular courses or even universities and colleges in Europe are accredited. So this accreditation is accepted over 60 countries. And among these 60 countries, let's say you want to pursue any further education, a diploma is a 60 credit course, right? Certification is a 30 credit. So let's say tomorrow you want to pursue any PhD, masters, or anything else. All these 60 credits can be transferred to any of these universities across 60 countries in Europe or even outside Europe, because many countries, even outside Europe, accept ECTS accredited degrees. And typically, if you compare any diploma course, full-time diploma course with 1 year, the pricing is going to be very, very different. You guys can find that out yourself. I will not quote anyone else's pricing, but what we are offering is very, very competitive price. And on top of it, based on your early applications, there is going to be scholarship of about 40,000 rupees. So if you compare our diploma course with any other diploma course, it will be almost less than 50% of the cost with other diploma, or even sometimes the PG certificate courses are going to be far more expensive than what we are offering as a diploma courses, while ensuring same level of quality, practical effectiveness, and there is a high regulatory standards. As I mentioned, some of the most popular courses in Europe, including your Oxford and Cambridge, they follow the ECTS systems. If you want to know more about it, please ping in the chat and our team can share more details with you. But essentially, in all our courses, you would see we will start with some building blocks, which basically will cover some fundamentals for programmers and non-programmers. Let's say anyone who has not studied algebra or linear algebra, who has not studied programming or seen programming any before, there are going to be some pre-learning hours where you go through it at your end, and you will be also supported with the live doubt classes and sessions. So all our courses will have a flow starting from building blocks to data visualization and analytics, which is basically your descriptive analytics layer, data science and machine learning, right? So for example, someone was asking about ML of 6 hours. I'll talk about it in data science 360 also. But if you see the total duration here, it is not really 6 hours. It is far more than 6 hours. Also, that question was specific to data science 360. I'll come to that also, right? Then after your data science and machine learning, you have an option, as I said, option 1 or option 2, to deep dive into either data engineering side or AI deep learning. You do not need to focus on both. It's not possible given the amount of depth we are spending, but at least one of this you can definitely focus on. Then there are some smaller modules, but the intention of this module is to give you a basic idea about some of the things which you may not do hands-on, but might be dealing indirectly along with the other teams. Having said that, given the depth and the amount of curriculum and the rigor we have in diploma course, it's not really actually easy to capture on this slide. I would actually be happy to share more details with you. We'll have a specific session also for diploma. But please ping on the chat or Q&A. My team members will be sharing the exact details with you. For Data Science 360, since there are many other questions on Data Science 360 and some related to Business Analytics 360 also, if you see, the approach remains similar, that we start from very, very basics, right? When I say basic, this is absolute basics. Let's say starting from Excel basics, etc. Moving to descriptive analytics, which includes visualization and descriptive analytics using Excel. This now has been replaced with Power BI. So time to time, we make changes to our course based on industry requirement. So this is now Power BI, not Tableau. So if you see, this course is about of 40 hours. If we talk about the next module, which is focusing on Python as a tool for data science. So here we are not even learning statistics or anything. We are just learning Python. How do we use Python to, let's say, even do basic things, import data, read data, right, summarize data, filter data, etc. So this module focuses on that part. When I talk about machine learning, this was one of the questions. If you see, we are spending about 48 hours in this module. And trust me, if on paper we are saying 48 hours, the actual time spent in course is going to be higher, because we do not restrict the number of classes based on what we have given. There is no exception. Always our batches are going to take more classes to support your queries, your pace, etc., than what we are promising. I will not tell you how many classes it can go higher, because based on the batch pace, Q&A, sometimes it could be 2-3 classes additional, sometimes it could be even 5 classes additional than what we have promised. So it is something which is very, very clear, and you can be confident about at AnalytixLabs that duration is not going to be less than what is required to learn anything effectively. In addition to these machine learning sessions, which is a subset of machine learning, text mining and NLP, we have another 4 sessions on this particular topic. Although in many institutes, you would see this will be combined as one, because it's actually a subset of this, but we are mentioning it separately, because in last 3-4 years, text mining has become a very important skill and a key differentiator for candidates' success. Then, as I mentioned, we have few fundamental concepts which you do not need to specialize. For example, both these things are actually meant for AI engineering roles, etc. However, as I said, as a data scientist also, you need to have an understanding of these things, because indirectly, directly, you might be dealing with people who are working on this, or some basic stuff you might be expected to do in one of the jobs. So just to give you an example that how much we are focused from industry and job point of view, as I said, this is typically not a data science program. A data science program will stop here in most of the cases. We introduced these things about 2 years back based on how we were seeing the feedback from the candidates going into the interviews. There have been cases you went through a course, it's a, let's say, 7 months course. Industry requirement has evolved. We are seeing some frequent requests from companies on a particular skill. Even if that skill was not part of your course, we will deliver it without any additional cost. Because at the end of the day, our focus is to get you hired after these courses, provided you are also equally committed to the course while it's going on. Then there are some industry and functional sessions, especially let's say when you are a fresher, you are a beginner, or you have worked only in one kind of industry. Now, how analytics will be used in different industries, popular industries like banking, telecom, retail, e-commerce, etc., etc. This is a session. Once you have done your certification, the assignments and projects, right? As part of your job preparation, you will be going through it so that you can understand how what you have learned will solve the problems in the industries which you may not have got any exposure in the past. Although when we talk about assignment and capstones, we try to cover as much as different domains here. We cover retail, we cover banking, credit card, insurance, even medical insurance kind of case studies we do cover here. But still, there could be some problem areas which is not possible to be covered in a 7 months course. So we have some additional sessions. Since you have a skill by now that how analytics will be used to cover different type of problems, it's just a matter of having some thought starter that these are some of the additional problems and how same methodology which you have learned can be deployed to solve these problems. So this is about the second course, Data Science 360. You might already know even this course is mandated by Government of India and comes with 8,000 rupees scholarship, which is directly deposited in your account by Government of India on the successful course completion. And NASSCOM offers many other courses as well, but this is one of the advanced courses under there. So this is under the deep skill category. If you see, it is aligned to 9 national occupation standards which are set up by the body this body has members from EY, Deloitte, PwC, these kind of companies to see what are the different job requirements in private sector and how different courses and skills are mapped to those requirements. So again, coming back to the same point, if we are delivering and doing a course, it is keeping in mind the industry first approach, that anything which we are doing is just not for heck of doing it, but it actually adds some real world skills and profile helps you to get job in the industry. The last course I would want to touch upon, Business Analytics 360. So there were questions whether data analyst is part of data scientist. I answered that. If you can see it here itself, it is. But most importantly, in data science, in Business Analytics 360, one, there is no industry certificate, there is no NASSCOM certificate. However, what you have is everything except machine learning, MLOps, right? So it is going to have some exposure or basic exposure to machine learning only from data analyst point of role. Most of the times, even for those candidates who are okay to start as a data analyst, data scientist is a better course. For some reason, if let's say candidate is not ready for 6-7 months commitment, right, or is not confident, we suggest to consider Business Analytics 360, because with additional 2 months of effort, cost is really not really that increment, because the price difference between Data Science 360 and Business Analytics 360 gets mitigated when you have this scholarship available after certification. So the price difference is very nominal. Even that gets mitigated with this scholarship. It's just about some additional 2 months of effort. You get a industry-backed certificate, Government of India mandated, and also the scholarship. And most importantly, from job point of view, it opens up more options than Business Analytics 360. However, there are few cases where we feel, based on the background, that at this stage, Business Analytics 360 would be better. So we suggest accordingly. If you have any doubts and questions regarding that, you can very explicitly discuss about the same with your respective counseling team members. So a lot of questions were there on the courses. Let me see now one by one, which we should want to take. So one question pending from Arif for very long now is Excel, SQL, and Python is enough for data science. So Arif, this you can say is a backbone of data science in present industry scenario. However, along with this, we have seen a lot of value in learning data visualization like Power BI or Tableau, which we are doing as part of our course. But please remember, just these 3-4 tools have a lot of libraries options. When you learn Python, within Python, you will be learning at least 10-15 different libraries. So it's not just we are learning 3 tools, but within these tools, there is a lot of coverage which is done. Now, as you progress to advanced courses or advanced profiles, of course, there will be more cloud-based tools, etc., which you will get exposure. But at this stage, this is more than sufficient. So 4 tools we are mostly focusing on. Suraj, very comfortably. So if I talk about salary levels after 3 years of experience or so, you can very well get the same, in fact, higher salary than what you are getting. So that won't be a problem. It's just that we'll also be helping you to show some exposure to data as part of previous profile itself. But any candidate with 3+ years of experience coming from engineering background very easily can get much more salary than what you're commanding right now. So that won't be a constraint. Ishan, yes, a very common combination which in data science you would see is engineering and MBA. It's perfectly fine. So even when you have only BTech or BTech or MBA, it's a good combination. In fact, it's just that with MBA, you will be getting slightly more salary than just BTech. So that advantage is going to be there because you will be considered as a postgraduate candidate. Okay, there is a very good question from Madhuri. How the companies give importance during the hiring as we are not having relevant experience in other companies. So Madhuri, the fact is most of the companies would prefer experienced candidates with relevant experience, right? But they don't get it because the demand for analytics or data science professionals is much higher than what is experienced candidates are there. So this is now very well established fact that they look for candidates who have got skill-based learning diplomas or certifications, industry relevant certifications, right? So that's why the scenario which is now was actually not like this 4 or 5 years back, but now there is a huge acceptance of skill-based learning. In fact, when government of India is supporting these kind of programs with their own scholarship and body like NASSCOM is certifying it, you can imagine the kind of acceptance the skill-based learning has got. When European processes are allowing diploma programs in this field, even through remote affiliations, right, you can imagine. So the reality of skill-based learning is going to be more stronger in even coming years. Sometimes I wonder in 10, 15, 20 years, the conventional education may really change. It's going to be more skill-based. But apart from these certifications, these companies will also be having their own evaluation as part of the interview process. So these certifications will help you to get shortlisted, right, as an eligible candidate. But these companies will also have their internal evaluation for which we prepare you as part of placement support. So whatever steps you go through it, we also conduct placement days where it will be a 2 days process and you go through everything which a typical interview process will go through. So Shubham, we might need to discuss your case in more detail. I'm happy to schedule a call in the coming week, but you might want to consider first go with Business Analytics 360. Rest we can talk about it in one-to-one profile discussion. Kamal, it is fine for fresher to start as data engineer, yes. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, also in last 2 years, many of our candidates who, let's say, went through Data Science 360 course got hired as data engineer because some of the things we take care of it, which are mutually there. So depending on your profile, if you're from engineering profile, you're getting a good option. Yes, this is something which can be definitely done. That you as a fresher may aspire or be open for data engineering job roles. One question from Amit on data science in fraud analytics. So Amit, fraud analytics, with whether we talk about a credit card, insurance company, or even corporate fraud, so data sciences or analytics, this is one of the most exploited fields because the risk and the fraud cost is so high that the company has been investing into analytics for last 20 years, more than 20 years now. So whether we are talking about a credit card fraud, whether we are talking about the banking, financial fraud, anti-money laundering activities, or even for your insurance claim frauds, a lot of companies, or in fact, none of these companies can actually avoid not having fraud analytics teams. So a lot of candidates we have seen, in fact, get very lucrative job offers. So some of the most lucrative job offers come from this BFSI risk and fraud analytics domain. As part of the scope, I can't share a lot more. Probably I'll try to share some blogs on the fraud analytics, which can help you to understand this more. Saroj, as part of all courses, we have some projects which will be your real life like projects, the kind of business problem statement, the data, the volume and the complexity of data. It is very important and it's mandatory to do these projects with certain performance because you cannot get a certificate without doing these capstone projects. So the idea is to give you an experience as close to the real life so that when you are facing interviews, right, you can clear them with fairly easy success. Also, even when you have cleared the interviews, there will be some expectations when you start the job. So these capstone projects are designed to give you all that exposure to help you succeed in the interviews, and even post interviews, you can start working as an organization would expect with someone with, let's say, about 1 year of experience. Madhuri, typically anyone coming from this kind of background, it's going to be very easy to go through this program. Trust me, there are most of the students who do not have any SQL or Python exposure. If you already have basic knowledge on it, it's going to be easy. In fact, it's a good combination for you. There is one question from Mahima. If I choose Data Science 360, will I be able to become data scientist initially, or will I need experience? So you do not need experience. That's how the course is designed. However, it is possible that if you are, let's say, fresher without any experience, sometimes you may have to first go through internships before you can opt for a job. So that part will take care of it, but you don't need to worry about experience at this stage. Pooja, I need to understand more about your background, because within airline there could be different job roles. Maybe if needed, we can connect during the week. You can put up the request with the counseling team. Me or any of the senior team members would connect with you. That's typically we do with people with higher years of experience because we need to understand things in more detail. Okay, Aket, we need to again schedule a call with you because we would need to understand the reason for the gap. What is the reason for the graduation year gap and the 12th? We would need to discuss it offline on one-to-one basis. So please raise a request with the counseling team and we can help you with it. Okay, Kamal Kumar's question is answered. This is done. So Mahindra, okay, this question is pending for some time now. Which process is difficult in data mining? See, when we talk about data mining, actually there are a lot more processes what we have just shown about right now. So let me see if I have that thing here. So what I discussed in the beginning was very high level. If you go deep into each of the steps, there are then many sub steps. So you actually learn about all this as part of the course. The most important, sometimes also difficult, but ignored step is data preparation. Because if the data preparation is not done correctly, right, you may not be able to get the required results with proper accuracy, right, and meaning which your business is expecting. So if I have to pick one thing, I would pick this because it is very important to be done right. Based on the data issues, it can be very complex, but at the same time, most of the time people ignore this because these kind of job roles, they seem to be, this kind of responsibility seem to be more glamorous. Everyone is more focused about it. But this is something which people forget about it and is actually very important. So Jatin, I'm not very sure about this question. I'm sorry, because recently we changed something in the process. Earlier, there was no limit to it, but as part of job guarantee program, there will be 3 opportunities. If you do not clear, right, you will get more opportunities, but then there are some clauses of job guarantee and all that which will not be applicable. So Jatin, can we follow, Sabrish, can we follow up with Jatin on this question and share the exact details, because placement team last week was discussing to make some changes here.
Sure, Sumit. So guys, I've left a link there for additional questions. So kindly click there and probably put the questions there. We'll definitely get back after the session.
Okay, another good question from Arif. So we can study MS data science or enough to study data science 360. So Arif, if objective is to start a career right now, right, and you're looking for, let's say, ROI, return over investment. When I say investment, it's not just about money, but the time also. Data science 360 is the hands down choice. However, the MSc or masters of these programs have their own advantage. If you are looking for a very long-term journey, right, over the years, candidates with MSc, etc., would have an advantage in terms of promotion or growth. So the ROI is not going to be very high or is going to be very, very slow. The advantages of MSc data science you will see over the years, right? Many times candidates who are doing MSc data science still come to us for certification courses because those courses are highly theoretical in nature conventionally, and what they're looking for more hands-on skills. So both have their own value proposition. One is going to be more hands-on focused. If you're looking for a job in shorter span of time, you can focus on certification courses. But there are students who go for both, and MSc in data science will help you in very long term career growth, but slower ROI. So I think these were the set of questions. So guys, in case we have a question which went unanswered, apologies for it, but we will be happy to help you now during the week. Let's say if there is any question which went unanswered, you can connect with the counseling team. If needed, they will help you to connect with me or any other senior team member to help you in the coming week.
So we have one question from Murtuza. I think he just enrolled for our course as well. Murtuza, I'm unmuting you so you can ask a question.
Sure, please go ahead.
Murtuza, can you hear us?
हाँ जी सर।
Yes, hi.
सर मतलब हम ये पूछना चाह रहे थे कि डेटा एनालिस्ट और ये डेटा साइंस दोनों सेम ही है या अलग अलग मतलब ये करना होगा हमें?
नहीं, आपने कौन से कोर्स के लिए एनरोल किया?
डेटा साइंस 360 डिग्री।
So it will also cover the data analytics one. Okay, so that's what I mentioned. When you do data science course, data science 360 course, it is going to help you with both the profiles, and hence I was mentioning it is a better choice. So both job roles, data analyst and data scientist, will get covered with this course. You don't need to do anything separately.
Okay sir.
So Murtaza, I'll be connecting with you after this session to give you further steps.
Okay, thank you. So I think we are over the time. I hope the session was helpful. You found it informative. We look forward to interact with you in future. And as I said, if there are any follow-up questions, anything which we could not answer, please use the link and we'll be connecting again with you guys. Thanks, Abish. Over to you.
Thanks, Sumit. Lovely session as usual. Guys, I can still see many of you still online. So if you, the session is completed. So if you have any questions, just put it across in the link in case if you have not answered. If anything immediate, you need to get it answered, probably you can raise the hand, probably we'll unmute you. Or if nothing is there, probably you can log off. Thank you. Kamal says session was informative. Thanks, Kamal. Thanks for attending. Santu says, thanks, Santu, most welcome.